Some political news today. Former President Trump's lawyers said that Trump is unable to pay the $464 million bond in his New York civil fraud case. In his defense, how is a billionaire ever supposed to come up with $500 million? You know? Come on. Do the math.
The Soviet Union is here. The Democratic Party isn't. They're going after their political enemies. They've weaponized the Justice Department, the FBI, the IRS, the intelligence community. We should really be speaking some kind, maybe Tagalog or something. They speak in the Philippines. No slam on the Philippines, I think. You know, Bong Marcos runs a more legitimate government than we have here in the United States because the left is here. Honestly, that's what passes for comedy, late night comedy. In reality, it's left-wing propaganda, agitprop. That's agitation propaganda. Got to bring back the Cold War lexicon since the Democrat Party has brought back the Cold War. But this time around, they are the Soviet Union. Just change it up a little bit, not too much. Happy Tuesday and welcome. We continue to be reachable at 888-630-9625. Absolutely toll-free. See how generous? That's very generous. Toll-free telephone number.
Is that the patriarchy?
The patriarchy helps. That's absolutely, I think, toll-free numbers are a creation of the patriarchy. The patriarchy, what is the patriarchy, Michael? What is the patriarchy? It's white men. It's white men. That's what it is. You're welcome. Welcome. Next time you turn the lights on, just thank your lucky stars that you can hang with us for now, but maybe not forever, because you guys are getting a little annoying. You know, some of you lefties out there with your crazy stuff. You think electricity just comes out of nowhere like it's magic? Dog is your co-pilot? You think electricity just appears? Is that what you think? But there's a lot, once again, a lot to get to today. President Trump did an interview with my great friend, Sebastian Gorka, and they had a nice conversation about the Democrat Party being a gang of anti-Semites who are pro-Hamas that chant from the river to the sea and tell Israel they have to stop defending themselves against a genocidal death cult called Hamas, which is being funded by Iran, and Iran is being funded by the Democratic Party. Isn't that fascinating? Kind of interesting. Now, you may remember Lunch Bucket Joe Biden. Joe Biden, a while back, was on a podcast or something with Charlemagne the Misspelled God. He thinks he's a god, and he misspells the word the. And Charlemagne, you'd think it'd be harder to spell, but he misspells the. And Joe Biden was on there, and Joe Biden told him, you know, if you ain't voting for Biden, I think he did some kind of black lexicon thing to him. And Hillary Clinton went on there and claimed she lied, that she always carries hot sauce wherever she goes. Nobody sees it, though. I wonder where she keeps it. It's kind of strange, don't you think? Because you had to be careful where you store your hot sauce. But never mind that. Joe Biden went on there and he said, if you ain't voting for me, you ain't black. Because he's speaking, you know, like Soul Train talk or something. He's from the hood, used to hang with Corn Pop and all that. And so he said, if you ain't voting for me, you ain't black. Well, President Trump kind of yesterday, he should have channeled that a little more perhaps and said, listen, if you're Jewish and you're voting Democrat, you ain't Jewish. Because the Democrat Party is, really, they should be wearing armbands and hobnailed boots and goose-stepping together everywhere they go, because they are not the Democrat Party of yesteryear. That is damn Skippy. That's for sure. So we got that, and now they're the left is having another mental meltdown. If it can be described as a mental meltdown, it might just be a meltdown because it doesn't rise to the level of mental, but they're having another meltdown because President Trump, and then the fake news media. What was I reading? It was Politico, and they got Sebastian Gorka's job title wrong at the White House, and then they threw in Jonathan Greenblatt, who is the head of the Anti-Defamation League that's supposed to stand up for Jewish Americans and for Israel. But they really don't, because it's run by a leftist. It's been co-opted by the left again. And an Obama administration official, Jonathan Greenblatt, But in the news media, when they quote Jonathan Greenblatt, who's just singing from the Democrat Party sheet music, they always forget to mention that he was, before he went to the Anti-Defamation League, the ADL, because we have to abbreviate everything. He was a Democrat apparatchik, and he's an Obama White House official. And then he went to the Anti-Defamation League because he's Jewish and he's got to get a job somewhere. And so we got that. But I'll get into that because President Trump's interview with Sebastian Gorka talking about Jewish Americans betraying their Judaism like the Lizard King, like Chuck Schumer, who betrayed his Judaism. He betrayed his people twice in one sentence, which is, we're going to have to search through the archives to see if anybody else has ever betrayed the Jewish people and the American people at the same time from the perspective of the highest ranking Jewish American in the U.S. government right now. But we've got that. And I want to get to that because of the wonderful things he does. And Biden campaign released an ad, a TV ad yesterday, lying about the bloodbath comment because they're liars and they lie all the time. That's the thing about them, is if they start talking, that's when they start lying. Except if they're at a keyboard and they're being silent and they're typing, then they're writing lies. They're writing lies. When they lay in bed alone at night, angsting, panicking over their gender and things, with their heads on the pillows, all alone, they're lying silently. And I don't mean they're like lying flat on their backs. I mean that their thoughts are lies because they're the left. They're not liberals. They're the left. Amazing stuff. So they've got a new lie ad out about bloodbath because, Joe Biden is presiding over a bloodbath. There's a bloodbath in America because of Joe Biden. Ask Laken Riley's family. Ask the 14-year-old girl in Virginia raped at knife point by an illegal alien. Laken Riley, of course, murdered by an illegal alien. The Laken Riley's murderer, another illegal alien thrown in jail the other day, looking at 10 years in prison. 15-year-old girl in Massachusetts raped by an illegal alien. In Maryland, an illegal alien who raped so many children. And then they released him. He raped how many? About a dozen little children. And then they released him because he's an illegal alien, not in spite of the fact that he's an illegal alien. And then you'll never guess what he did. He went and raped a bunch more children, and then they arrested him again because the Democrat Party is a crime wave, and they're infecting the United States, honestly, like herpes at a Kennedy family gathering. What? Did you see the Kennedy family gathering at the White House for St. Patrick's Day? And they didn't invite Robert F. Kennedy Jr. It would have been the only time he had Secret Service protection if they had invited him to the White House, because, why would they want to give Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Secret Service protection? These are the same people that paroled Sirhan Sirhan about a year and a half ago. Although, Hairpiece hasn't, the governor of California, still hasn't signed the paper to officially let Sirhan Sirhan out of jail, but the California Parole Board did grant parole to Sirhan Sirhan. And I figure if Robert F. Kennedy Jr. starts doing well in the race against Biden, that's when Gavin Newsom will sign the paper letting him out, because that's the Democrat Party. They're unwell people. Also, kind of fun, some hijinks at the White House briefing yesterday, and they had Jake Sullivan. He went up to the podium to discuss what it's like to be anemic. He gave a short speech on what it's like to be anemic as the American National Security Advisor who couldn't intimidate a schnauzer, but never mind that. Jake Sullivan accuses Peter Doocy, Fox News White House correspondent, of asking loaded question. It's worse than that. It's more than that. It's more embarrassing than that. But your Democrat Party, they are not well at all. Yeah, Jake Sullivan, he's the least manly national security advisor the United States of America has ever had. And he's asked about the NBC News reporting that I talked about yesterday, that Joe Biden behind the scenes is angry and cursing all the time. And Jake Sullivan lied, but it was a Washington lie. He slipped in some snake words, some weasel words, so the lie was, a little bit more palatable. This is a city of 10,000 lies. There are 10,000 ways to lie in the naked city. And the Democrats demonstrate virtually every one of them. If not every day, then certainly every week. We got all kinds of stuff going. Ketanji Brown Jackson does not know what a woman is. What is a woman? I don't know. What am I, some kind of doctor or something? What am I, a biologist? Am I a veterinarian? I don't know. I don't know what a woman is. And now she's on the Supreme Court. Turns out she also doesn't know what a Bill of Rights is. She doesn't know what a Constitution is. This woman should be kicked off the Supreme Court after yesterday. We have audio because now they have audio in the Supreme Court during arguments. No video because that's too tawdry and tacky, and it is. But audio, and Ketanji Brown Jackson. Also, Samuel Alito was there, and he's an intelligent person. He knows what a woman is, knows what a man is, he knows what children are, he knows what a Bill of Rights is. And he was much more intelligent, probably a patriarchal thing, probably some kind of a patriarchy thing. But we got that going from the Supreme Court. So First Amendment issue, because the Biden administration and Democrats everywhere love trampling free speech. Well, your free speech, you know. Speaking of which, Hunter Biden said he's not going to show up for a congressional subpoena and testify in open session, even though they were pounding the table and demanding, we will only testify in open session and not in closed session. Now they've testified in closed session. Now they're pounding the tables. We will never testify in open session because they're like, I don't know, what are they like? Hitler, I think, is probably the word that I'm looking for. All right, it's not really Hitler, but that's just the names that we hurl back and forth now. Thanks to the Democrats because they're fascists, but never mind that. So Hunter Biden now says he's not going to testify in open court, even though they were demanding loudly, and the media was helping them. They were fluffing them, performing acts of journalistic gratification upon Hunter Biden and his attorneys, and saying, well, he will testify, just not on your terms. I was like, this isn't an invitation to a dinner party, white people. This is a congressional subpoena to appear before a congressional hearing about your crimes, about your criminal activities. Never mind that. But he says he's not going to appear, which is a bit absurd, particularly given that Peter Navarro of the Trump White House is now scheduled to report to prison for refusing to appear before a congressional committee when he was subpoenaed, because we have a third world tree monkey brand of justice in the United States of America, and that's because the left is here. And the left, they don't believe in justice. They're a gang of murderous, thieving criminals. They're the left. I've been paying attention. And I even read about stuff that happened before I was born. And it turns out there's a well-established pattern here by the left. Everywhere in the world, they do the same thing everywhere. Also, Democrat Biden family consort, not a consort, but Devin Archer. He sounds like a cartoon character who's a secret agent, doesn't he? Devin Archer. And he's the guy that defrauded the Indian tribe out of $60 million or something, right? Devin Archer declines to testify at Biden impeachment inquiry hearing, NBC News reports. Again, he declines to testify. Peter Navarro declined to testify, and he has to report to a prison in Miami in a couple of days. But Devin Archer, pals around with the Bidens, and the Bidens, you think Bong Bong Marcos in the Philippines that's Ferdinand Marcos Jr. He always went by Bong Bong. I don't know, that's because he smokes a lot of dope or what, but Bong Bong and Devin Archer, he declines, and that's okay with the fake news media, NBC fake news, right? And Hunter Biden, he declines and that's the way they phrase it in the media. He declines. It's not an invitation to go snowboarding. It's a subpoena, congressional subpoena about your crimes. So we got all that stuff going on. Amazing stuff. There is a bar in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where the Republican National Convention will be held. And they said they're going to close down during the Republican convention there because they refuse to serve Donald Trump supporters. If they refused to serve Democrats, it would have been burned down last night. Everything would have been stolen. It would have been looted and burned down. So we got that going for us. And, Donald Trump stirring it up again, talking to Sebastian Gorka, talking about American Jews betraying Judaism. Great stuff. Congresswoman Cory Bush says that white supremacy and global warming, climate change. Got to look out for white supremacy and climate change because that's a big problem. She is a devout racist, as every school child knows. So we've got that. CNN is celebrating a record number of abortions last year? More than 1 million abortions last year, and CNN couldn't be more thrilled. They're pretty sure that the lion's share are black. So you know how the Democrats are when it comes to that, the Confederacy and Jim Crow and everything. Amazing stuff thanks to the Democrats yesterday. I've got an update on Fani Willis. There will be no more Ruth Bader Ginsburg Awards, the family is demanding, because the Ruth Bader Ginsburg Awards people gave the Ruth Bader Ginsburg Awards to the wrong people. I think you know what that means. Got that coming up. We are at 888-630-9625. Hey, it's Chris Plant. Excited to tell you about our July 2024 Listener Sea Cruise. We'll be sailing around the British Isles, visiting Scotland and Ireland. Please join us. Visit chrisplantcruise.com. Now, liberals, I think, are all mentally ill officially at this point. We have a left-wing radical extremist member of Congress who says that white supremacy damages reliability of the power grid in the United States. And a professor here in the Washington area, George Washington University, who talks about marriage promoting white supremacy. Marriage, a man marrying a woman, promotes white supremacy because they're all racists and they're mentally ill. And they're the party of the Klan and the Confederate States of America and lynching and standing in schoolhouse doors. And you should vote for them. And abortion, and 1 million abortions last year. And at CNN, they couldn't be more excited. Amazing stuff. Yes, sir. We got very little time, but let's go to Lonnie calling from Northern California. Lonnie, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
All right. Hey, Chris, I'm a little nervous, but I've been trying to listen to you all the time. But you wouldn't believe we really need to have Trump come out here in Northern California for a fundraiser rally. I mean, I'd pay what I have to pay to go see and listen to Mr. Trump, President Trump.
You must be in the good part of Northern California.
Yeah, we're an hour north of Sacramento. Yeah, we always try to make sure we let people know that's where we're at.
Not along the coast, not the Bay Area. You're not in Oakland, where any Trump rally would be attacked by Visigoths.
I'll have to look that word up, but that's correct. And we avoid those areas and no nighttime travel in those areas for sure.
Yeah, people don't know, Lonnie, that there are great swaths of California, inland and Northern California, that are quite conservative, right?
Correct, and I know you could get the word out to President Trump. Man, he should come here. It would just be crazy fun, man.
Northern California, Lonnie, thank you, buddy. If you're a Democrat, you're an anti-Semite and a racist. Is that fair to say? I'm just reading it in the papers. You know. I'm also seeing this morning there are nearly 1,000 Americans stranded in Haiti. Nearly 1,000 Americans stranded in Haiti. And the Biden administration isn't doing anything about it because the Biden White House figures leaving these 1,000 Americans in Haiti will help resolve their food insecurity problem in Haiti. Because Americans tend to have more meat on the bone than, and they got barbecue and the cannibals running the place, the gangs. And if you need something to eat, I bet they'd tell you that Americans are good eating. But the Biden administration isn't doing anything to rescue these people. A couple of private groups are. But the Biden administration wants to leave them there as a food source, I think, for Cannibal Island. Remarkable stuff. Talk about white supremacy. That is crazy. Speaking of white supremacy, Democrats are mental, and they're anti-Semites, and we'll get to that in President Trump and today's big radio broadcast as well, talking about Jewish Americans betraying Judaism to be Democrats, which I've been talking about for a long time. But before we get to that, there's a story, and honestly, we did this amazing story on my Newsmax television program last night at 10 p.m. Eastern. That's 7 p.m. on the West Coast, even if you're a Democrat, remarkably. But out of George Mason University in Virginia, there is a professor who goes by the name Bethany Latique. Bethany Latique. Like critique, but Latique. Bethany Latique, L-E-T-I-E-C-Q, Latique. She is a PhD from the University of Maryland at College Park. Now she's an associate professor of research methodology, human development, and family science at the George Mason University, the College of Education and Human Development. And there's a picture of her here. She looks very lonely in her picture. Her pronouns, I went to her website at George Mason University. Her pronouns are listed here, surprisingly perhaps, as she/her/hers. Now, once you have her, do you really need hers? Doesn't that seem repetitive, unnecessarily duplicative? I think so. But she has her pronouns listed, and nothing here about being married. I'm guessing unmarried, probably a lot of cats at home, probably a lot of cats. Maybe a goldfish, kind of sad.
Actually, she's domestic partnership.
Oh, domestic partnership. It's not listed in her thing. So there's a domestic partnership, and her pronouns are he, she, hers, her, and hers, which sounds... So what is that, on her Facebook or something?
An interview that I found.
An interview. She did an interview with people, and she talked about her domestic partnership. So it's possible. Everybody loves lesbians. You know, let's not kid ourselves. I got Cinemax, and that's all fine. But here she is. She's a professor at the George Mason University, and she, her, hers. Remarkable stuff. Now, she says that marriage promotes white supremacy. She is white. She is white. Marriage, and maybe that's one of the reasons she did get married. Maybe she doesn't like men also. That could have something to do with it. But she says marriage promotes white supremacy. And listen to this. If your child goes to or went to or wants to go to George Mason University, here's the kind of education that you'll get for, what is it, $58,000 a year if you want room and board. If you're going to live in your car, I think it's $38,000 a year. But here's what the professor Bethany Latique says in explaining that marriage promotes white supremacy. Right? She says, marriage fundamentalism can be understood as an ideological and cultural phenomenon where adherents espouse the superiority of the two-parent married family. But it is also a hidden or unacknowledged structural mechanism of white heteropatriarchal family supremacy that is essential to the reproduction and maintenance of family inequality in the United States. Now, rarely do you find a person who is this full of stuff. She sounds like she's writing a Mel Brooks script here. This sounds like a satirical version of a college course, but there it is. So adherents espouse the superiority of the two-parent married family. You know who else espouses the superiority of the two-parent married family? The American prison system espouses the superiority of the two-parent married family. Because if you go into any penitentiary, just go to Supermax, you'll find like 97% came from broken home, single-parent households, almost always just a mother in the household and no father in the household. And if you don't have a father in the household, there's, I don't know what the percentage is, like 70% chance you won't graduate from high school. There's a huge likelihood that you will be on public assistance when you come from a single parent. I know I come from a single parent household, but the remarkable thing is that there is a great value to anybody that might be educated on matters of human development, and that's what this woman teaches, would be aware of the fact that single-parent households produce more killers, more criminals, more convicts, more people living in poverty, more people on public assistance, more people that drop out of high school and don't get an education of any kind. But you go ahead and pitch this. You know, this goes back to the Gloria Steinem line that she stole from somebody else. A woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle, right? And the left is here, and the communists started this, and then Lyndon Johnson and the Great Society destroyed the family, the black family in the United States of America, And ever since then, drop out of high school, get involved with drugs. Drugs when you come from a single parent household. That's another one. End up involved in the court system and in prison. But, she's got her finger on the pulse, Bethany Latique. I don't teach at George Mason University, but I know a lot more about her subject than she does because I'm well informed and she's ignorant. She goes on to say, listen to this now. Critical feminist and intersectional frameworks to delineate an overarching orientation of structural oppression and unequal power relations that advantages white heteropatriarchal nuclear families. She loves this heteropatriarchal thing and nuclear family. She's anti-nuclear family, as was Black Lives Matter. When Black Lives Matter released their charter and they were stealing things and looting and smashing and burning and shaking down corporations that were handing over literally billions of dollars to Black Lives Matter. They were anti-Israel, just like the Democrat Party is today. We'll get back to President Trump talking to Sebastian Gorka today. But Black Lives Matter came out against the nuclear family because that's what communist organizations do. And a number of their leaders proudly bragged that they were trained Marxists, whatever that means. How do you train as a Marxist? I assume it involves mostly same-sex sexual abuse, probably. But there it is. It advantages, you see, the orientation to structural oppression and unequal power relations that advantages white heteropatriarchal nuclear families and marginalizes others as a function of family structure and relationship status. All of her students are going to die in prison, which is kind of sad, I think. But that's it. So it's a racist two-parent household, may keep you out of prison, may keep you off the public dole, and may keep you off drugs, but it's racist, so you should probably avoid it. That's it. Speaking of racists, Cory Bush is a Democrat racist member of Congress from Missouri, a radical extremist leftist, and she now claims that the power grid in the United States lacks the reliability that we might like because of white supremacy. I think we should just, I'm a charter member of the patriarchy. I'm on the Zoom calls and things like that. And I'm advocating for cutting off the electricity to everybody except the patriarch in the United States and around the world, because you guys should just count your lucky stars that you can hang with us, honestly. Blaming racism. This is Cory Bush, Congresswoman, Democrat, Missouri, radical extremist racist. We also can't ignore the actions of domestic extremists, she said when talking about unreliable power grids in the United States. You know what we can't underestimate is Democrats, because in California they're having rolling blackouts there, not because of white supremacists, but because of Democrats. And they won't allow nuclear power. They won't allow hydroelectric power, both of which produce very, very clean electricity. So grandma doesn't die in the dark alone in the wintertime. But never mind that. She says, we also can't, talking about the reasons for power grid lack of reliability. We also can't ignore the actions of domestic extremism, like the Democrat Party, including white nationalists and white supremacists who have violently attacked electrical grids. Sure, that happens all the time. To stoke chaos and fear. That's what she said. She knows she's a member of Congress. Just amazing stuff. For years, she said, law enforcement and researchers have been monitoring violent white supremacist groups and their targeting of the country's power grid. I think that they accuse one person of throwing something at a power grid relay station. They accuse that person of being white. I think that's the thing. It's unacceptable for our children. You have children? And our grandchildren. Your children have children? Don't you know you're killing the planet? You've got to stop having children. Like all good lefties. Amazing stuff. Our children and our grandchildren who will inherit this mess. How about the $34 trillion debt that you keep adding to, you dimwit? They're going to live in squalor and poverty, going to die in cardboard boxes years from now. Inherit this mess. If we don't address the horrors of climate change, the Democrats are going to make the weather better. Hey, Cory, Mind if I call you Cory? Cory, I'd like it to be, I think, 76 degrees and sunny 24 hours a day. Can you stop the rotation of the Earth when, like right around sunset on the East Coast? Because I think that's my favorite time of day. I'd like that very much, if you could help me out with that. They're going to fix the weather. The climate will be better because of Democrats. If you believe that, you need a brain scan because the squirrel running laps on the inside of your cranium may have died. This is the Democrat Party today. And college campuses today, because Dr. Bethany Latique, she, her, and hers, PhD, University of Maryland. Amazing stuff. She is really something. I'll bet she wins awards, too. She probably wins awards because they give them to each other, you know. Critical feminist and intersectional frameworks to delineate an overarching orientation to structural oppression and unequal power relations that advantages white, heteropatriarchal nuclear families. Sure. And that explains everything. Marriage is the problem. Now let's do away with marriage, and then 25 years from now, they'll get back to us and say, okay, we were wrong. What do you want? At least we tried. Because everyone will be in prison and addicted to drugs and have a variety of diseases that are hard to explain. But never mind that. That's your Democrat Party. They are amazing. And no more Ruth Bader Ginsburg Award. They're not giving that out anymore, I'll tell you, because her family doesn't want it being given to people that they don't approve of first. Let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Howard calling from Manassas, Virginia. Oh, Howard, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Yes, sir. It's not going to take 25 years, Chris. It's already happening, as you well know. I graduated from George Mason. You got to look for the positive. The positive is every other week when they send me something for a donation, it does my heart good to rip it up and throw it in the trash because I will not donate that liberal bastion of crap. But, Chris, you said it. Marriage makes strong families, strong communities, strong towns, strong states, strong country. And they are attacking the family. And of all things, Black Lives Matter attacks the nuclear family. And you know it, and I know it, and I can't remember who said it. But that woman said that our prisons are full of young men that grew up without fathers. And most of those, sadly, are young black men. Yep. But it doesn't matter. White, Chinese, whatever. If you grew up without a dad, statistically, leave religion, God out of it. Statistically, you are much more likely to have all kinds of issues. And I'm a church-going man, and I see it in my church. You know who's bringing the boys and the girls to church? It's not the daddies. I mean, obviously there's families, but if there's going to be one parent, it's a mom or a grandmother that's in church often by herself with her kids.
Yep.
So we know the truth, and the truth is marriage is good for everybody all around. And on a side note, Chris, hope to see you at the Birchmere in a couple months. That's the last place I saw you, and you know what you were holding in your hand then?
What was I holding in my hand? Oh, I bet it was a bottle of Bud Light.
Yes, sir.
No more. haven't held a bottle of Bud.
I will gladly buy you a beer, but it definitely will not be that.
I've discovered that there's a vast universe of beer options out there. Little did I know. I'm doing a lot of Kono longboards these days, which I like very much. And last night I had a 1664. It's from France. I'm sorry, but it's a good lager, a good beer. Yeah, it turns out there are all kinds of good beers. All right, do you already have your ticket for the free speech forum? Because I think that's selling fast.
Yes.
Very good.
My elderly neighbors bought it. My elderly neighbors bought it for me and my wife, and our deal is we get to drive, and they paid for the ticket. So
that is incredible. That is very nice. All right, I'll look forward to seeing there.
I'll have a little money left over to buy you a beer.
Very good. I'm looking forward to that. Howard, thank you very much. What a great call.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. And sorry about that George Mason University degree. I'm sure you're doing very well. It sounds like a prosperous person to me. Going to church, got the family, got neighbors that love you, going to the free speech forum. He's an American. That's Howard. Great stuff. All right, more Democrat wackiness coming up. I want to get the Ruth Bader Ginsburg Award. I was kind of hoping to win the Ruth Bader Ginsburg Award. Put it next to my, Planned Parenthood. The eugenicist, racist, that Hillary Clinton and Jane Fonda got the Margaret Sanger Award. Put my Ruth Bader Ginsburg Award. Yeah, they're not going to give them out anymore. They're very angry, these people. And President Trump wagging his finger at the American Jewish population for voting Democrat when the Democrats should be wearing armbands and goose-stepping around Washington. Achtung, schnell, schnell, raus, raus, or. You know, Democrat gathering. We're at 888-630-9625. Yeah, the Ruth Bader Ginsburg Award canceled after family objects to winners that included Elon Musk, Rupert Murdoch, and get this, Sylvester Stallone. Sure. Also, convicted felon and Democrat billionaire Michael Milken. They gave the Ruth Bader Ginsburg Award to Sylvester Stallone. Is it Ruth Bader Ginsburg like in a boxing pose with boxing mitts on? Because that's pretty weird to give it to Sylvester Stallone. And the family says, okay, this has jumped the shark. We're done with this award. No more Ruth Bader Ginsburg Award. So if you got one, if you're one of the lucky winners, then you hold on to it because they're not giving them out anymore. Its value just went up, I think. The Ruth Bader Ginsburg Award. Rupert Murdoch, you know, Fox News. Elon Musk, he bought Twitter and took away one of the Democrats' corrupt playthings. Oh, speaking of corrupt playthings, Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson yesterday humiliated herself and didn't realize it. But you remember when she was asked, what is a woman? And she couldn't answer because she said she's not a biologist. Yesterday, during oral arguments, that's what they call them, about the First Amendment to the Constitution, you know, the Bill of Rights. She embarrassed herself enormously and should probably be removed from the court. You will reap the whirlwind. She's not going to reap the whirlwind. She should step down, though. Like Fannie Willis, they could go on vacation together.